Welcome, everyone. I'm very happy to meet you here tonight. Mm. I'm thinking we start out with a little meditation. Yeah? Yeah, let's do that. Maybe you find a good way of sitting. Mhm. I'm inviting you to close your eyes and to just let a subtle, I want to say, a cloud of care, of kindness, just descend down on your body. So, starting with an easing up of the mind. It allows a softening of your mind, a slowing down of your mind. Just to let that deeper relaxation where joy can really take root in you, to let that take place. Descending that softness, that care down over your chin and your throat. And letting love move in. Landing like one of these weight blankets down on your shoulders. Letting your shoulders relax. And release any sign of doing. Mm. Relaxing that chest, opening that chest. Room to breathe with your heart a bit. Mm. Mm. Just remember just the softness and care in that silent ring of joy. Mm. Wrapping with such a closeness and such a care around your lungs, giving them like a big hug inside, a holding hug. To let yourself breathe all the way to the bottom of your lungs. Become alive in the lungs, including the solar plexus and the first part of the belly. It's that caring and soft wind. Just let your love in. Know that this care and this kindness is your utmost, deepest bowing from your love, from your masculine, from your care, compassion, to be really held on ground. Mm. Mm. And let that expand down through the belly as well. Mm. Sink deeper down in the belly, taking a more and more full seat. Letting that beauty of your existence become apparent to you. Mm. Relaxing into your womb, relaxing into your yoni, just taking a seat as rest, as kindness and care, and also to let yourself be loved as this body. Let the joy reach you. Let the relaxation reach you. Don't have to wonder what you are when you're not keeping things together. Just need to get intimate with yourself beyond that. Get intimate with yourself in this softness and care. Mm. Mm. Just let grace touch you. Let grace move in. No, it's your deepest humility to allow so. It isn't even about being someone worthy. It's about the surrender to that and accepting that grace wants to live with you, to be your bread and butter, your essence and flow in beauty, in joy, and to let your most important job be to give in to the gratitude for this gift of your life. Mm. With this acceptance, I bet you can find yourself able to keep on sinking more and more into relaxation. Any place you meet with tension, you are invited to surrender the tension into relaxation and be present with what lies underneath the tension. What feeling or sensation? Blessings, oh blessings on your relaxation. Mm. You let spirit come close. You give up any position and let life in. This is your choice. In every moment. Let, please let that kindness also seep into your arms and hands. Into your thighs, and lower legs, your feet. Allow this entire creation of your body to be celebrated by your presence. It's a celebration of nature, a celebration of grace, a celebration of beauty, of creation. And for a moment, allow the simplicity of enjoying, simply enjoying to be in your body. Whenever you feel ready, you can slowly begin to return to our mutual space. So please keep enjoying being in your body. Mm. So I suggest that we take a short 5-minute break. You can move the body a little bit and you can go and get yourself a hot cup. So we can meet over a hot cup. That's always so nice. See you in 5. Recording in progress. So, welcome to our space. I want to invite your sharing. I want to invite your exploration. I want to invite your curiosity. And I also want to share with you. For the ones who are here for the first time, the way we roll is that you use the raise hand function, which you find underneath here under React. There should be like a... And whenever you raise your hand, then I can see it here. And when I say your name, you just unmute yourself and then you're gone. Yep. We're going to keep on just being... Oh, did I actually do that? I just spotlight my face here. So your voice is recorded, but your image is not. Yeah. I'm kind of bursting with like a joy to share here. A wish to share. Is just the wildest shift of platform right now. It's completely wonderful. So there has been this move to rent out Nari for a while, and that was done from the 1st of October. And it was a lot of work to get to it being ready for rent out on the 1st of October. But then on the 2nd of October, I left for the UK and I just came home like earlier this week. And I am living in my private space here in my house. And something which is really interesting and very beautiful is that I can see that the platform of service as anything is being replaced by just a platform of beauty and joy. And from that place, sharing with anyone, it's pure nurture, it's pure nectar in a way. But yeah, it's very different than from the platform of service in terms of helping anything. It is the greatest help, but somehow it's the whole place of anything teacher wise is kind of just being replaced by joy. And it's really wonderful for several reasons. And I'm still going to teach, obviously, but the teaching will be replaced by simply sharing from care and sharing experience. And yeah, from that celebration of beauty and of joy. Yeah. So it means, of course, that there is no longer anything else, really. It's just that joy and bursts of being just ridiculously happy and not able to believe that I have, developmentally speaking, arrived at this place. Because now that's my whole life. That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, so that was a little sharing from here. Welcome to my home. Creating from that joy of beauty is also just what a blessing. From that appreciation and bowing to beauty, it's just, yeah. Anyway, enough about me. What about you? Where are you at? And don't let what I just said confuse you in terms of any kind of inquiries and stuff, because I'm happy to share. Mm. Mm. It's good to see you. Mm-hmm. Hello, Rianne.
Hello, hello.
Hi. Good to see
Hey,
you. Hey.
yeah. So good to see you and some of the faces that I've also sat with, and it's lovely to connect. Hmm. So what's been coming up here is also something around the simplicity and another layer of simplifying my structure of my life and my living, and
Mm.
how much joy that brings, how much space for life to arise, to be felt when there's not so many balls to be
Juggled.
managed all the time. Yeah. And the other piece is around, all right, really just dropping into like things that happen that are challenging, and maybe I wouldn't choose them, you know, and yet they're arising, or they arise. And I guess that there's a part of me that knows that that's the teacher. That is my teacher in the moment. It's reality happening for me, for my growth, for my undoing, for my realizing whatever's there. And yet so many things seem to be happening at the moment, like things that I wouldn't choose. And I'm like going, what the fuck?
And
What
you,
the actual is a part that's going like,
we need some details here. Go on.
well, like we just did a retreat, an 8-day retreat at the beautiful venue that we hosted you at last year, and that we'll have our New Year's retreat at. And I think on the end of day one of the participants went to sauna with a little group and ended up putting a foot into one of the mole holes and turning it over and fracturing her ankle. It's like having to deal with that as the organizer and like taking care and that part. And then the retreat was working quite deeply with sexuality in an embodied way, body de-armoring, including genital de-armoring. So it's quite edgy and it's not for everybody. And on the last day of the retreat, one of the women's husband, only one husband, who wasn't at the retreat, arrived at 7:30 in the morning in like a complete emotional meltdown. I was like, this drama, this incredible, explosive drama. Like, I was going like, what is this? Why? We've had this sweet retreat, other than the fracture on the beginning and the beautiful people, big openings, tenderness. I'm like,
Yeah.
working with people is such a big, big piece. It's like there's always more, there's always an undoing, there's always an unfolding, there's always an opportunity to meet what's arising with compassion and clarity and openness. And it's like,
Yeah, life can look like total beauty, right? And it can also be, well, the rough reality of a human race in a karmic bloodbath. And
that's
then,
a great way of putting it, a karmic bloodbath. My God.
and that playing itself out, right? And it's not, I mean, we are, when it comes to these things, we're actually in the beginning in a way. You know, it's gonna get stronger over the next 4 years. But with that
Hmm.
said, tell me, what did you need to learn from these two experiences? What was challenging? Let's just start with the first one. What was challenging in the first one?
So the first one, actually wasn't all that challenging. It was just a happening. The particular participant was very gung-ho and very hard on her body and didn't want to miss a single thing and wanted to drive herself to the Mediclinic and dance, and so brought up a lot of grief for me around watching somebody overstep the boundaries of the body and pushing the body, her beautiful body. Um,
So
so
she needed that experience, yeah? She needed to do that. It was coming as a manifestation of her own hardness.
it felt like that, and that the opportunity, I called it the story of the slowing down and softening fracture. Felt like that was
Beautiful. Mhm.
the message. So that didn't feel so personal, in a way. But the other piece, there was something interesting around, the woman who was in the retreat process, who's, yeah, I don't know what to say, but there was a part where I realized that the husband came and was set up as the perpetrator. She was the victim, and myself and the facilitator and all the other participants, because he involved everyone banging on doors and screaming, and like it was very high intensity. We were all the rescuers. And that was almost like we were thrown into these roles and it was, so I was just really conscious of not wanting to play those roles, and that how the victim identity is actually a very, like, there's a sort of insidiousness about it, because it comes, the perpetrator is quite transparent in a way, and he barges with his aggression and his noise, but that that victim role that was the one playing all of us, it felt like at the end. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what exactly.
What was actually needed in that situation, you think?
Radical truth, radical honesty, which did come out in because we were still having our closing circle, which of course changed from dancing and a sweet closing to a whole nother kind of a closing, because we couldn't ignore. And there was some truth. I was able to hold up and say I felt confused and I felt peace.
So it looks to me like the response, if that had been allowed to be direct, the response, then the
mm,
response, his movement would have been a huge rising of energy through, well, I could say if I had been at that space, it would be like a hell of a foot to the ground and like standing like a pillar that stops all energy of his.
mm.
And as that organizer, I don't really know who was holding the space. Was that you, or were you the organizer and someone else was holding the space, or what was the deal?
Yeah, there was a facilitator, a male facilitator,
Yeah.
and we had 6 assistants, myself, and then like 20 participants.
Mm.
So,
But she rises as the integrity of everything. That doesn't
mm,
allow this kind of twist into these. It's very,
mm,
you said what you're saying with the roles, because that's the result. Once that energy starts, it creates the contra energy that then branches out on its own. And it's just the whole, I mean, you know the game, yeah? Yeah.
mm, mm,
Actually, to stop that roll of energies forward to start with, I would say that the one holding the space, uh,
mm,
or at least I could say, as a holder of a space, I would become that pillar that stops.
mm,
Because the moment that that energy stops and it doesn't have, when it's kind of like it has a power in itself, but the moment that it meets the power, then it's deflated.
mm.
But the
Yeah.
moment, but the moment that there isn't an allowing of the rising of that energy in the extent that it's needed there, the moment that isn't happening, then the confusion is there instead.
Mm,
So the moment that you can't let full power in and let that do what it needs to do, then of course the result is confusion, something like this.
mm, mm,
Yeah, but I would say maybe that's the biggest teaching of that situation there. It's something with that showing up in the full integrity that doesn't allow any playing around to keep going. It kind of
mm,
stops things in its track. And then
mm,
well, in my experience, that means that either it subtracts, it often does that, because often that which comes as that, it doesn't want to be confronted. So the moment
mm,
confronted with the complete non-reflectional, as in non-reactional power that doesn't allow the perpetrator to break off into victim and all of this, when it's just met with her, then it kind of it withdraws and it kind of just and it goes the other way again.
Mm.
And that in itself sets off the digestion that's needed from where it's coming from. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's a hell of a thing with these things moving around, huh?
Mm.
And it's not fun for anyone, not for him either.
No,
But
that's
I,
definitely not what we choose, but it also was powerful, and there was something, there was an opportunity there. And I think what you've said, I mean, I see it so clearly, and it kind of did play that self out, but it just took a long time, like 3/4 of an hour. And then I did just, there was a gentleness, like my compassion took a while to come in. But as my compassion landed and I stopped, I just was the space, I was kind of absorbing. Then he got in his car and he left. He just left
yeah, exactly.
at that point. But it took a while for that,
To land
for
as clarity of
it
itself.
to get there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Took quite a long time. And
Yeah. But that
yeah, and
explains everything, doesn't it? In terms of if we just look isolated on the learning of for you in that situation,
mm,
responsiveness of her when she is set free to take all of these forms,
mm,
that's it. That's the learning for you right there. And it kind of requires that you get into situations where this is called forth. Otherwise, the training for it to get like this isn't there, right? Then it just kind of stays in that it's a while, right? Yeah.
oh my God, yes. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Oh gosh, I hope I learn this one quickly, because too many of those kinds of incidents aren't what I'm calling into my reality. Uh, hmm.
Yeah, it can be quite crazy. I've kind of
Mm,
ultimately I found out, okay, that's the way it works. Yeah. But up until that point, I tried all kinds of like, okay, that mind, is it approachable? Is it can light
mhm,
shine on it so that it wakes up and recognizes itself what it's doing and all of this, but it's actually not how it works.
mm-mm,
He takes care of everything. We just need to give her room, basically. Yeah.
mhm. I can see that. I can really see that, the way you've given it there. Yeah, thank you. Mm,
The amount of challenges that we need sometimes to learn these things. The thing is, though, that they are incredibly valuable teachings, and not only for you, but for everything that will be around you in the future,
mm,
because this learning and this learning to stand by that force that then reinforces integrity and sovereignty and all of those things which are not actually
mhm,
individual or personal thing. Integrity
mm,
is flat out all inclusive trait. Yeah.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And there was incredible um, learning that came out of it for the entire group, in the opportunity to then sit with that,
Mhm.
and to sit with the woman whose husband we had hidden her away because he felt like he was aggressive. And once he'd gone, we did the whole, and we just sat with circling it and not staying away from the truth. And it
Mm.
was so powerful for everybody, particularly as we'd spent 8 days kind of opening the nervous system, softening the nervous system to receive more, to be more present in our bodies. Um,
Also,
so yeah, that,
Mhm. It says a lot
that
about
was,
how important it actually is to deal with the occurrence of such a pain.
mm,
Because it's not
mm,
actually so much about the experience, it's actually the existence of the pain of that happening. Because if you have
mm,
opened, the most natural thing right there will be for tears to roll down the cheeks, you know. I've seen that too in retreat setting, that okay, when something appears in the space which has that harshness or has that anything, that actually several of the retreatants, they need to keep on letting go by letting those tears
Mm,
roll. That's the only way that they can kind of digest and pass it through. Otherwise, it kind of
mm,
becomes like a, you know, a tense and contracted thing. Yeah. So it's a great learning, even like on a group basis, it's incredibly like beautiful, actually. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Beautifully done. Mm.
Mm, mm. Ah,
Mm. 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 Oh, something else very interesting at the moment. I have found a tenor, not antenna, a tenor, singer, yeah, a male tenor. And I started coming at his like once a week and practicing song. And it's so fucking interesting. It's really, one thing is like getting like, it's kind of like pinning his map of the voice and its possibilities and pinning that down and trying it out and activating and practicing and all of this. One of the things that's really interesting is that my wish there is actually I want to learn completely to get into form with my song. And then he challenges me. And I really like that. I really like that. So I said, like, he really, really like, I'm not really interested in what you can do. I'm interested in what you can't do. And then we went from there. And then he wants to just activate all of these areas where I can't. And he just like gives me an instruction and I just have to go for it. So I'm literally like having to tell like stories through song. And that's, I mean, can you imagine like 20 years on the path of truth and like zero story and all of a sudden reversing that 180 into learning complete expression with emotion and voice and like wow, that's a thing. It's really challenging and wonderful also. I think it's a good thing to be able to do both. Yeah. And then I look forward to make music for you guys also. So I look forward to see what this carries with it. Yeah. Mm. Hello, Lucy.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Let's take that hand down. Oh, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you. Yeah, what you're saying about song is really, forgive the pun, resonating with me at the moment. It keeps coming out. I cannot stop it.
All right.
There's language and words and light language and song, and it just wants to come through. And this is all opening up. And like you say, I've had this desire to find someone who can teach me to what you said,
Yeah.
basically. I'm looking for someone like that now.
Nice.
So thank you. That's exciting. Can't wait to see what happens when you start singing. I want to hear that. That'd be amazing.
Well, I gave a concert in Germany a few years ago and it was recorded. There's like a CD on Salem
No.
download, so you can just go and take it.
I will go and look for that. That would be amazing. But that's not really why I'm sharing. I just wanted to share excitement around that because yes. Um, okay, let's see how the words tumble out. I've had just recently this I'll start with the easy piece, a hysterectomy. Full, gone, everything, nearly.
Wow.
Just nearly everything gone.
Mhm.
It's like the best thing that's happened to me in so long. It's been so beautifully done. I'm more connected to my womb now than ever before. And there was just this emergence of the golden womb the whole way through it, this whispering of this
Wow.
is what here, this is what emerges now, this is what you can connect to. And this kind of weaving between this energetic and the rhythms and patterns of the physical body, but all the way into the sinews and the flesh and the skin and the lock, the muscle, the tissue, everything.
Mhm.
It's been a real beautiful journey so far.
Mhm.
And I'm just at this point where, for me, the dance is welcoming life back in.
Yes.
Yes. And the reason I had that hysterectomy was a long, long story of the womb and the yoni just saying no and pushing out no, 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 no. And that being in the muscles and the activity and the whole myoma growing around them, no. Until I obviously come to a point, it was like, and now what about yes, huh? Can we maybe with the yes? You've done years and years of yes in maybe, shall we say, the deeps. So now it's time for yes in the body. And I just thought, wonderful, yeah, great. I have the operation. Everything makes sense, and I see the beautiful energy alchemies, and I'm like, yes, this is it. I feel fantastic. I feel like a woman. And I'm here now going, oh, I'm doing it again. The no has come back. It's come back into the muscles. It's come back into the yoni. And I'm just like, I should be able to be beyond this.
No, it's not that. It's not one go and then one shift.
I know.
We're talking
I know.
layers, and cycles of disappearing, and it's deeply connected down through your ancestral line. It's deeply connected into the collective and all of these things.
Oh,
And for us to work our way into the yes, we need to become intimate and very familiar with the construction itself. Because a no is not just a no. There is an underlying emotional imprint there. And that in itself, because yes is actually, that's a lean toward receptivity. So no is the opposite. It's a closing of receptivity. And that closing of receptivity, that's where you lose the deep feel of your woman as well. But the appearance of the no is simply an occurrence of the next layer of resistance to surrender there. So if you really want to move with that, you need to connect with and collect into your consciousness and holding those feelings that lie inside of that no. Because inside of that no, it's not just no, it is rejection. So it is from reception to rejection. It's not just yes and no, because a no is such a finite thing. It's just no. But rejection itself can be felt into.
thank you. Jara, Jama.
Rejection itself has underlying emotions connected to it that can go all the way into both anger and I want to say even hatred towards existence, hatred towards the masculine, hatred towards love. And all of these things are rising from down that womb on our way of softening in that womb. So yes, darling, you got I want to say a wild card with that operation and it showed you what's possible. But to actually stabilize in that yes, that needs to be through for healing your way through these layers. Because it's actually becoming a greater and greater fruition of that womanness and that womanhood. And that actually becomes a birth of beauty through your body.
Thank you. It feels like that's what's returning. There's been this crunched up that's softening and opening. And I can see it, and people keep telling me they can see it because they see it easier. Thank you. You talk about softening, and when you're in the meditation, you're softening into the womb and softening into the yoni. And there's part of me going, I'm sure I know this, but I appear to have forgot. Hello? Hello? How do we? Hello? There's a forgetting, a real deep forgetting of what? What is this?
Yeah. So I want to just activate 2 points of knowing for you. One of them is that your consciousness is your tool. Your consciousness is that which needs to go down and embrace and be with. So it's not just checking in on, there's no, okay, then I leave again. It's a coming in to hold, be present with the rejection, roll that through your heart until the womb says yes to open. But you see, if your consciousness isn't coming with its certainty, its no need or attempt to fix anything, if you're not coming as kindness, if you are not coming as softness yourself, but if you're coming to fix or get rid of something, then you are coming with lack of kindness already. So you really need to be aware of how you are approaching that wound. You try to fix it. She's testing you. You need to show as care. You need to show up as compassion and as holding presence. And then you need to be the ear in there, feeling and being present with whatever she spits out on her way of passing through that no. But the no doesn't pass until you go there and you stay there.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Intelligent. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. She wants your undivided attention.
Oh, that's it. That's what I can't. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's something there with attention. It's like when I try and place my attention there, it's almost like there's a globe and I kind of skate round it. And normally I could just be beyond that. I could drop in. I could be the compassion. I could lit. And it's like there's something I've allowed to get stronger than that. And there's a little part of me going, what have I made stronger than that? What have I given that power to? Where has it been misaligned? Thank you. I can feel real pain now.
I can also tell you what it is if you're actually,
No, please.
darling, for you to actually descend into that womb, you have to open yourself to be present with the pain, the sadness, sorrow.
Yeah. Maybe I was resisting that. Jeremiah, Anja, Art, Damas, Bosin, Janya. Jar, Aya, Mia, Takan, Umbus, Nahara, Nashna. Jinya, the Mataka. Just bust. For era, Bastiana.
Yeah.
I stop. Marat, I'm about to get.
Please connect with me now.
Yeah. Wow.
Lucy, a growth into your womanness requires complete relaxation on both sides of the coin of pleasure and pain. Your reaction to pain is a closing up, then you're going to have to go through rejection because this is how it works. The growth is realm of existence in this ground of being relies on your yes to both pleasure and pain.
Thank you. This message has been trying to reach me today, and I was like, what are you saying? I don't understand. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. This is making a lot of sense. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, Vishu.
Amazing. Bless you.
Hello to Michael. Oh, where did you go now?
I just lowered the hand, maybe.
Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me well?
I do.
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. How are you guys? How are you?
Yeah, it's like it's quite intense, but it's like waves. It's a very strange thing for the past few days. You know, I mentioned many times that I had this fatigue, like really strong fatigue, that kind of went away. And maybe because I was more active in my work, you know, and now have more like relaxation and the focus is more inward, and I feel the fatigue again. And but it's kind of coming in the first part of the day, and then the second part of the day I seem to be fine, but the first part of the day I'm like and I've been meeting it like in the layers behind it, and there's a lot of it's a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of melting down of separation basically in the past.
So what I'm getting when you're saying fatigue right now is actually that in that time where you're feeling the fatigue is only there because you're still trying to focus on something other than what's going on in there. So the energy is turning towards something else and is working on something else. But instead of actually being with that, you are wondering in still looking out and trying to do here, why am I like?
Yeah.
What I invite you actually to do is when you're feeling that fatigue, sit down into meditation and follow the movement of energy and of life that's going on in there in the midst of that. Because
So that
the fatigue is the result of you trying to keep your consciousness on a level where it isn't in that moment. So your life is running towards something else. Follow it. Find out where it goes. Allow whatever is going on to happen with a lot of consciousness in your and wakefulness for you.
So you mean sitting with the feeling of the fatigue and kind of going what's behind it? That's what you mean? Or so that's exactly what I was doing in the past 2 days, because I got the same message what you were saying now. It's like instead of kind of being busy with why is it here, just to kind of sit with it, which requires much more focus because the fatigue kind of gives the feeling of like lack of focus.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that, and there's like surprisingly every time there's something a little bit different that
Name,
appears.
name things.
Yeah, so today it was like anger and sadness and helpless. I don't know, it's like I'm not fully, it's hard to be fully clear because of that state. The brain is very, very foggy, but I'm just kind of following like the inner movement of energies and the
Yeah.
emotions behind it. It's a bit trippy kind of, but
It
it's
is
still
very
possible.
But it's tricky for you, Michael, because a part of you tells you, I have no reason to be angry right now. I have no reason to be like this. I have no reason to be sad. But the gist of it is, this is showing up from the inside. So it needs your honesty. If you're not sending honesty towards it, and that simply means to be really present in those feelings. If you are not doing that, then obviously you are blurring yourself because you're telling yourself that right now your reality looks in a different way than it actually looks. And that's what creates the fatigue. It's the split between your actual experience and your imagined experience. That creates confusion. That creates blurring. But the blurring is an attempt in your system to protect yourself against the anger that you're experiencing from the inside.
Mm.
So I want you to know that your anger is not dangerous. Your anger is something you can be absolutely present with. Your sadness is not dangerous. It is not going to drown you. It is waiting to fill you up, but it can be in such with such a sweetness, like a melancholic, deep sorrow, that really goes all the way down to the bottom of the lungs and down into your belly. And that both of these two are completely okay. All it requires is that instead of trying to have an existence right now, which doesn't entail how you truly feel, that your reality right now fully includes. So at the core of your human existence, you let these emotions be there and you're being present with them. When you are doing it in that way, you can even be kind with your surroundings, just letting Smadar know or letting your girl know that that it looks like this right now. So that it's not that they, for the girl, maybe something that they shouldn't take it personally. But the thing is that when you're holding it, you're not just being an expression of it, And when you're blurring yourself, then this will pop up as unintentional expression because it's not being properly met by you.
Yeah.
So that willingness to meet, you said anger and you said grief. The grief is the more direct way. The anger is actually a response within your consciousness of disagreement to be present with the sadness. So it's always two-layered, as in anger, grief. The reaction that we have to the arising of grief, for most people, it comes as anger first. So 2 layers, anger, grief. So be present with the anger first, then you really get access to the grief, then be present with the grief. And let the whole inner contextual design of the somebody, and let that crumble into that ocean of sadness. That's its intention, because you created a separate self, and that separation is being torn down into that ocean of grief that comes to wash you out and reconnect you deeply. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. At the same time, with this, and also before the fatigue is going on for already for maybe a week or two, there's like a deep deconstruction, and I feel it's in the head level, but I'm not sure exactly because they're all kind of connected, but of the separated consciousness of, just believing to be separate
Yeah.
person, and it draws like kind of a deeper and deeper feeling of kind of melting into the it feels like the universe. I don't know, it's hard to explain. It feels like a bit like a but it's not like a one, okay, I move through it and suddenly there's an opening. It's like kind of going like this.
But that's reflection that actually you kind of need to take bites of that, because the death that's combined with letting these pieces fall off of the separate identity. The separation appears in layers, and right now you need to take bites of it, and it takes you a little time, and it's completely fine. This is how you know how to move with it right now. It's a right now thing only. Yeah. And the
Yeah.
most thing is that you take it at a pace that's also kind to you, you know? So it's completely okay. The whole thing.
Yeah, it feels like a beautiful process, but it brings up all of the I don't know if it's like the arrogance of the mind of like all of everything that doesn't want that, basically, you know, that kind of that
Yeah.
and like the habit of kind of, you know, saying no, like there is, it's not infinite, it's just a form, you know, it's kind of this contraction, you know, and something is kind of taking it away. So it feels like a bit like yeah.
Gradual birth, a gradual death to give way for a gradual birth into breathing wide open.
It's so funny that there is resistance to that.
Well, I mean, it's nature in a way, right? It's nature. Yeah. It's nature,
Yes.
natural instincts, it's body and its fear reactions, and it's instinctual and it's survival based. That is something we can be present and kind with in a way, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually seems to me that no matter what part of the structure that's dying at any given point in the process of this, that actually it's possible for us to extend that kindness towards that part, that actually it isn't in that way that pieces and bits needs the harshness, you know, for it's not actually like that. I'm finding that actually the water, the kindness of that water flows in everywhere where there's a crack. And when it comes to that part which has a hard time resisting, that it isn't just about, you know, okay, but if you just don't confront it, then it just keeps on going. I'm actually seeing that when consciousness itself extends the kindness of holding, it's kind of like that piece, it feels met. So it doesn't feel brutalized, you know, or like violence against it. And yet somehow it is aware of the underlying light of consciousness in a way that actually just lets it, once it's met, it relaxes more, and it's somehow easier to surrender into the totality of that pool, of that width and that depth, you know. Did that make any sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
It's exactly what I'm feeling, that it like requires much more kindness and
Any part that we're I want to say tempted to make wrong, I kind of detest that. I don't agree with that so much. Yeah.
yeah, I just need to kind of sit with the resistance in a more compassionate way.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the heart of it, Michael, there's an ache there. There's a pain there. So even the part of speaking about that in harsh tones of like, it's actually a reflection of that arrogance that you're talking about, isn't it? something which isn't yet able to just really kind of hold all of it in love somehow. Hmm. And sometimes I feel like saying, sometimes it's even the part of offering that part which resists. If you offer that a piece of enjoyment, then actually it is prone to, okay, now I can let go. Now I can release.
For the enjoyment of.
Yeah, of anything really, of anything that brings joy to that someone there. Yeah.
Yeah, just had a funny thought, like giving it some bacon so it can relax.
Exactly.
Which is,
Yeah. No, but it is kind of like sometimes when there's resistance to let go, it's coming from someone not ready to die yet. And when there isn't a readiness for death, it's because there is some sense of unfulfillment in that somebodyness. So if you allow a piece of enjoyment to happen for that somebody there, then somehow, at least in my experience, then it's ready to take the deep dive afterwards. It feels filled, it doesn't need anymore. Yeah. Bit of funny tactics, and especially maybe because, well, if you spoke to me like 10 years ago, I was actually saying the exact opposite. I was like that's the way, but to actually find out that the harshness towards can be equally, it's not as efficient because it's not like this, but in this regard, I would say efficiency matters very little. It's more important is that there's a maintenance of connection with your vulnerability, your sensitivity, and that place wherein these feelings show up. Because when they experience the harshness, something withdraws, something retracts. So the actual invitation for your vulnerability to come online, for your sense of feeling to come online, and inside of that connection to come online, you are connecting as consciousness deeply with your body. And that requires the establishment of a trust relationship. And that trust relationship doesn't come when we approach it with arrogance, when we approach it with hardness, when we approach it with fixing or anything like this. So, to the extent that we can work with the body instead of against the body in its, I want to say again, natural responses, like nature. It's these different responses that can happen in the psyche and the more we learn to turn that with a kindness, the more I see that this exactly same result takes a little more time, but actually in this case, slow is fast. Because when you go with the fast, when you go with the fast and thinking that that's the best way, you actually set back that trust inside, which is being reestablished in the deeper connectivity with yourself and your self-love. So the kindness towards the body makes things move slower, but it moves in a way where your vulnerability and your sense of feeling and your sensitivity can stay intact and can keep growing deeper. While it cuts also the sensitivity. And then there is another job involved with reconnecting. And it kind of, every time the harshness comes, it's like a yank, in the inside of your vulnerability, actually. It's incredibly hard to talk about these things because what we're actually down to here is that they're in our sensitivity, in the deep love and respect actually for your human soul. When you really include all of these layers as well, that there is a part of you which is that vulnerability, which gets to breathe, have life, and in so many ways become like the pearl of the beauty that you get born as. And it's a part where connection matters, where disconnection is painful for this part. So when you can come and bring yourself to that place where you hold yourself with that kindness that allows for a continuity in that sensitivity and in that sense of feeling, in that vulnerability, that right there, there's just oh, I can only feel it for you, and maybe you can feel it through me and me sharing the feeling with you. But it's really something deeply precious that allows for such a deep enjoyment of the moment, of the air around you, of as this body, to be able to enjoy here and to enjoy connection with everything around you. Precious is really the right word, I think. Yeah. I will speak more about this, but maybe it's enough for now. Really, in terms of mastering communication, this is the essence of mastering communication. It is to live in that responsiveness, like where emotion is not suppressed or discharged of meaning, but where everything gets to be exactly as it is and actually be held with a kind of I almost want to say like a sweetheart attitude, where it's completely okay what we're feeling, and even expressing what we're feeling, that's actually totally okay. And it's not a blaming or a da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not none of that, but it's something with hearing that voice and letting it reestablish in the very fineness of your human soul. It's really, yeah, precious. Yeah. Mm. This particular part has become like the main focus presently now in my marriage, for instance. And it's really about standing for and behind that voice. I know for a fact, of course, I know it's not true in any kind of profound universal sense, but that doesn't matter. The very fact that it's the experiential reality right here and right now, and the way that in any way can affect a connection or a disconnection from the love that is shared, that's actually the main, that's the main focus right now. And I know it's like it's a fine-tuning thing, but it's like yeah, it feels very significant actually, in terms of establishing real trusting and I want to say safe grounds to be vulnerable with each other, you know. So this you have not heard me say before. Yeah. What a treasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. It's a wonderful thing to just keep on exploring into relation and relationship, and like just getting piece after piece after piece to click and really work out on a really fundamental level, all the way from the fact of continuous evolutionary growth together, all over the spectrum of full self-responsibility and self-holding of anything that need presencing inside, as well as the connectivity, the ability to share, and the ability to mutually support each other. It's an incredibly beautiful thing. And then, of course, on the other side, that complete like the delicacy of that, of cherishing the connection, really.
and not accepting like huge gaps in connection simply. To care enough to let all parts of the equation be online, be alive in your experience and in your perception. And somehow kind of reaching that place where, okay, obviously, if I don't have a roof on my head, I need to focus on that. And if I don't, so it's kind of like there are these basics of our joy, our life, our our basics that needs to fall in place. But it's kind of like we can keep on building on that, keep on refining the manifestation of our lives into like the finest layers of joy and pleasure and it's so joyous to play with all of this. And to keep on discovering. I mean, Jesus, it feels like then landing the mastery of this, and this, and then it just opens the window for, okay, but what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And then it turns out that just the next this has like a whole world of learning inside of it, where that mastery of the details and the most delicate angles of inclusion in that. Yeah, I really enjoy it. Yeah. Before I was like spending a lot of energy. Exactly like Rianne, like you said, this was like so many balls in the air. Yeah. The amount of energy and balls in the air concerning like both doing online works and travels and holding Nari and like, oh my God, there's a lot. But the very fact of this simplification now has freed up a lot of energy here. And you can probably see it in my eyes, but it's all returned here as joy. So what I'm standing with now is that I really feel like creating beauty that I can share with you simply. So it's like instead of all of that energy going into holding that space out there, it's going towards I want to create videos, I want to create music, I want to like all of the different ways in which beauty can be shared. Yeah. That nurture can be growing into everything. And that feels very valuable. Not to mention like what I enjoy most. I also really enjoy creating at Nari, I must say. But my body is really happy for this current step and that it's now the creativity doesn't require me to wear and tear on it all the time. We look forward to see that platform shape of like how to nurture. Yeah. At the moment, it looks like I want to like really like offer care into like newsletters and like creating videos and yeah, so I can keep going. Yeah. Let's just say I have a lot of love to spoil the people that show up on my way. Yeah, including you. Yeah. Mm. Time of wild and rugged change on a human level, but also a time for real possibility of beauty and nurture, of receptivity, self-love, and bringing home piece after piece of your living life, bringing that into a safe place, into a deep relaxation for you. Whether that's family connections, or whether it's friends, or whether it's financial situation, or work, or home, or all of those things that support us in a way that makes our life joyous and full of the beauty that we all deserve, simply. Yeah. Mm. Rugged at times, yes. So is our teachings these days. I had a friend contact me like a month ago. Emma, I spoke with my neighbor, and it feels like she's shooting arrows or darts of like kind of like that destructive force, which is also, I know, the opposite of it from you with the creative force. But how? What do I do? And the gist of it is, oh, I've also had to learn this in other ways, but I've had to learn this. And I was standing, well, why should he not be dressed the same way I had to get dressed when it comes to learning these things? So, how much of what's happening in our lives is actually happening because we need specific teachings, because we need to get dressed in particular ways to be able to reach a ground where we can still and continuously relax, despite the fact that everything is getting more and more tense on a planetary level. It's all in there, isn't it? So it isn't just that this stuff is happening in the world. It's actually that, okay, you need to learn this because it is absolutely in your best interest. So that the more crazy things get, the more you learn to relax through all of it. Because that, if anything, is what will keep you safe, keep you grounded, keep you responsive instead of reactive in the face of everything that's going on and will escalate here. Yeah. For a while. Not infinitely, but in a passage. When you're having challenges, it isn't just karma or isn't just ancestral pressure. It's also that. But in many ways, it's also about actually getting you to safe grounds in terms of learning to deal with these things. Because we do choose how we respond or react to challenge. Do we stay connected, trusting, grounded? Do we keep surrendering? Do we allow proper action? Do we allow deep rooting and surrender in our speech? Do we remember the softening that is needed for ourselves, but thereby also to everything else? Respect, love, groundedness, care towards a human's reality, but not taking it at face value. The actual care about this human being in its wholeness and not just in its brokenness. There's so many ways we can choose to respond. I do invite you to always respond based on your deepest knowledge of where we all belong. And also in a way that actually invites the real potential of other people rather than a dance with their shortcomings somehow. Because that's love also, holding ourselves and each other to our real potential. So our souls and our beings can really get to manifest. Mm-hmm. Again, without the pushing, but more like the invitation, the invitation into that vulnerability and that rawness that allows for connection, actually. Mm. Mm. I feel you. Mm. It takes something to face our current human pain and still stand grounded, still stand open, still choose the relaxation. One thing is that we can choose it because we know it's the right thing to do. But another thing is actually that the more that we actually allow for that relaxation, the more we actually realize that there is no other way. That is actually the only thing here we can really, truly trust. That relaxation offers a safety, but it's through her protection. It's not separate individual to separate individual. It's not me, my boundaries, my integrity. It's our integrity. It's our pain. But it's also our beauty. And that's something that will eternally invite our hearts to crack more open. To become the love that's meant to be here. As well as becoming the whole human beings we become as the result of standing in that love. Mm. Thank you for listening, guys, ladies, sweethearts. Mm. You can shoulder this. You can chest this. You can belly this. And you can mind this too. The riches of all of this does start with your yes to be nurtured. To let this love that's here right now, to let it reach you and to let it start that healing from the inside out, because that's where it touches. It seeps through the cracks into let the blessing of that nurtured touch in those wounded places, in those broken places. And all you gotta do is say yes, actually. It's just like that available to you. This frequency, it's just kindness. It's just care. And give you an invitation right now. Check in on your hips. Check in on your womb and just feel, what does it feel like when that love is available right now? What appears in my hips? What appears in my womb and in my testicles, in my root? It appears. Can you is there something might be aching, might be wrong? But at least it's showing itself because it's allowed. Might be waves of feeling overwhelmed. Let's care about that one too. See, the more kindness like this we can pour towards that bottom line, the more there will be a yes there to stop contracting and start relaxing. And that relaxation lets life straight into your legs, into your feet, into your connection with the ground. Mm. And see if there is some kind of ache or sensitivity in terms of rawness. See if you can actually allow yourself to be okay with that. See if you can that also. See if you can appreciate that feeling simply because it's arising, not because we need to have an opinion about what's arising, but just can be grateful for what is arising. That trust from the ground is increasing enough that she is okay to show us where she hurts, like the planet. Mm. Mm. See, the more of a kind of a weight of relaxation we can get in on that level, that very easily can plant itself up for your body so that your heart becomes more free in its connection up to your heart, up to your chest. And actually it can travel further up on your spine and on your core as well, to include your head. And this is actually completely natural. This is why I can say to you that I know that you can heart this, you can chest this, you can belly it too, as well as you can mind it. Because all of these things come completely naturally within you when you allow that strength to come forth through allowing your greatest vulnerability. And to connect your root up into your pelvis, connect your pelvis up into your chest and heart. Connect your heart up into the head space. To connect your head space down into your heart. To connect your heart down into your hips. Connect your hips down into your root. And let that keep extending through your legs into the soles of your feet. But further on, extending as deep sensitivity of connection into this earth you're standing on. Your body is of this earth, even though your consciousness is not. So we want open in both ends, yeah? Yeah. And we gotta breathe. We gotta breathe through the aching of that opening heart. We gotta breathe through the aching of that opening belly. We gotta breathe through the death, opening, expansion of that mind. It's just simply the natural, real way to go. The more quiet we can be with that, as in just be present with the pain without putting anything on top, no stories, no reasons for its appearance other than evolution itself. The easier life can work with you. You gotta mind your hygiene, your inner hygiene. What is inner hygiene? Can anyone tell me? Come on, you can do it.
I'll give it a go. I guess for me, inner hygiene is something like, if the feeling's there, then it's for me to feel, to take responsibility for that rather than to try to do that, and then to create the space and the care for the feeling to pass through,
Yeah.
rather than move on or go over it or get busy or distracted,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. That's the direct road you're describing. When there's a lack of inner hygiene, it means that there are feelings present that we are not taking responsibility for, that we are not presencing, and the result of not presencing something becomes that there's a generation of subconscious darkness, which moves as shadow. So a result of not holding inner hygiene is shadow. And of course, that inner hygiene goes all the way to the bottom. Yeah. 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 One of the really important things. And it always comes down to humility, funnily enough. It's the main thing that we are learning actually. So when I mention inner hygiene, the result of humility is inner hygiene. So when we are not being humble with what is in our ground, we become unclear in our consciousness, we become ungrounded. And if we are being honest, then we are seeing and feeling something scurry around on the inside, trying to not stand still, not be presenced directly. So that also result of lacking inner hygiene. Thank you, Leanne. Our innocence relies on our humility. Hi to Patrick.
Hi.
Hi there.
Um, yeah, on the topic of hygiene and inner responsibility. Just a little while ago, I was having this process in myself, and I won't repeat it in length now, but it went along lines like that our confrontation with evil is is leading us to be able to self-reflect and taking self-responsibility. That it was actually, let's say, quote unquote, a gift of evil to do that. And it made me like, because I had always taken this attribute of self-responsibility, taking it as a fixed thing and placed it very close to my core. And I was seeing that in doing that, I was casting such a large shadow when I was looking around myself. Do you know what I'm hinting at? By making responsibility as fixed attribute, I was making it as a stick measuring the world around me.
Yeah, anything can be picked up from the egoic structure as a righteousness.
Yeah.
But can also be surrendered to not. Say it like that.
The whole thing was like, it was like a wow moment, like, okay, so if that is something that we actually have to learn or to activate, so that then it is not, then it can't be in the middle. Then it can't be in the middle of myself. So what is at the middle then? There was suddenly this huge open space that you were referencing before, like, okay, entering a new area and then getting yourself familiar with this open space. And I felt like that's this huge unnamed area was opening.
Nice.
And that was, and in the same time, like yeah, like a softening or what's the word? Compassion for the process.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, to myself and towards others, of course. But
yeah. The human journey, right?
We're not at the same, it's not willful. Sometimes it's ignorance, but there's also like, yeah, we're not everywhere at the same. If it's not a fixed attribute that everybody is gifted with, then we are not everywhere at the same point. That's what dawned on me. Anyway, that was something that I wanted to share.
Nice. Thank you. Actually, a funny thing to ponder about this whole idea of good and evil. Because when you really get into the grid of it, yes, there are different forces on the planet. And it's not so much about good and evil as it's about the version of existence where he merges with she. So it's existence with love and it's existence without love. But existence without love in itself can also, it's kind of like the contrast between the two can very easily become, well, connectedness and disconnectedness, but that there's also kindness versus meanness. But that the meanness in itself is actually awaiting a transmutation of surrendering, a transmutation where that kindness can seep in through the cracks. So it's kind of like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's very interesting, the whole thing. It's also interesting when you discover that there is this fixed measuring stick in your consciousness, and then you're letting that collapse as a holding point, and then there is a wide open space. It's really beautiful in the sense also to see that deeper relaxation with every aspect of existence also doesn't require us or calls us to fight against any aspect. That actually it isn't about good versus evil, that there is no versus involved, that there's no fight against evil, actually, because the moment that you surrender to the fight against something, you're already kind of lost in the realm of that energy. So to really root on the side of the surrender to the whole thing is also to allow for the all inclusion that doesn't separate into darkness and light, but really brings online the shimmering surface between the two, where actually all of the magic is there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just a bit of pondering. Thank you for sharing, Patrick. It's really good to see you again. So what are we going to do when there's nothing and no one to fight against? Then we need to presence any seed of violence and fight that arises inside of us on our own, because there's nothing to keep our existence in this struggle other than ourselves and our beliefs. What if that kindness is just waiting to seep in everywhere, and it's just our way of inventing a way to keep struggling against actually being healed? It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Actually, ultimately, it's actually really beautiful, the whole thing. Yeah. I really enjoy being here with you. What a blessing to share this joy with you. to know how intimately, truly, it is absolutely your life too. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his words, telling my whole life. With his song, killing me softly. With his song. Hmm. That's really cute. Adriana's head used to be like up on the screen. You can only see the top of her head. Yes, you're cute too. Yes, you're cute too. Dogs. Dogs being a part of the snuggle party. Gosh, I came home from the UK and it was just, oh my God. The guys really had missed me, it seemed. And we've just been lying like in a puppy pile for more or less 4 days straight. Amazing animals. Talk about nurture. Yeah. Dear friends, we only have a few minutes left together. Are there any last notes, little anecdotes, little sharings? It's really nice to feel and see that you're just letting like that light drizzle just hit everything. It's really beautiful. I'm very grateful that you chose to spend your evening with me and us here tonight. Thank you so much for that. Mm. 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 Thank you so much for tuning in tonight and for sharing your life and your experiences. Love you all. Hope to see you again soon. Good evening.